Hey guys, okay, so we're gonna be checking if something's a perfect square, and if it is, we're gonna factor it, okay? So for this one, the way that you do this is to check if it is a perfect square, is you gotta see if these are perfect squares, okay? The 4 and the 9, they are perfect squares, so you can check it. So this is gonna be the square root of this, which is gonna be 2y. The square root of this is going to be 3. Now, when these two multiply, they have to equal half of this right here, half of the 12. So it's going to be 6y. 2y times 3. Does that equal 6y? Yes. So this is a perfect square. So that means that to reduce it, it's going to be this 2y, the sign that's in the center, plus 3 squared. All right? And that's it. Let's check if this one can be factored. So that's a perfect square, that's a perfect square. The square root of this is going to be 3x. The square root of this one is going to be 2. Half of this is going to make 3x. Now 3x times 2 does not make 3x, so this is not a perfect square. So we're not going to reduce that one. Okay, so here we go. So now this one. We're going to solve. All right, a little bit of a jump here, but this is a perfect square, so we're going to reduce it. This is going to be 3x minus 8 squared equals 0. So we're solving for x. So now we're going to square root, and it's going to leave us with 3x minus 8 equals 0. We're doing this, which gets rid of this, and what number times itself makes 0? 0. So now we have 3x minus 8 equals 0. We're going to add 8 to both sides. We're going to be left with 3x equals 8. Divide by 3 on both sides. X equals 8 over 3. Okay? So that's our end result there. Now we're going to solve for this one. Again, we're trying to get rid of the squared. We're going to square root both sides. We're going to be left with y minus 6 equals, so that's the square root of this, gets rid of that. The square root of this one ends up to be positive or negative 9, because 9 times 9 will make 81, and negative 9 times negative 9 will also make 81. So you don't know which result. So this is going to lead us to two different answers. Y minus 6 equals 9, and y minus 6 equals negative 9. Going to add 6 to both sides. Y equals 15 is one of the results. You're going to add 6 to both sides. Y equals negative 3, the other result. So this one's going to have two different answers. When you square root a number like this in algebra, you're going to end up with a positive and a negative number because you really do not know what this started as. Okay? So that's a little bit of solving for a variable using something that's a perfect square. Here on the top, we checked if it was a perfect square, and then we solved it. Here we solved one that was equal to 0, had only one answer. This one has 2. Okay, so let's figure out this part right here. So 3x squared plus 6x minus 4. I need to graph it, okay? First, I'm going to find the axis of symmetry. Now, you have to know that this is A, this is B, and this is C. So when I write negative B divided by 2A, so negative B. So B is 6, so I'm going to write negative 6. Okay? If it was a negative number, I would have written negative 6, and it would have become positive 6. So this one's negative 6 divided by 2a, so 2 times 3, which is 6. That's going to give me negative 1. So this is our axis of symmetry, okay? Axis of symmetry, which is going to be negative 1. So x equals negative 1 is our equation. So x equals negative 1 is right here. So I'm going to make a dotted line so that you know that this is the line that cuts the graph in half. Because anything x squared is going to make a U shape. So now we're going to find the vertex, the bottom of the U in this situation. So let's plug in negative 1 into the equation. So this is negative 1 times negative 1. That makes 1. Okay? Times 3. That's going to be 3. So that first section is just 3. Then that's going to be negative 1 times 6, which is going to make negative 6. And then we're going to have a minus 4 right here. So all I did was plug in the negative 1. because we know that the vertex is at x equals -1, but we don't know what the y is. So 3 minus 6 leaves me with -3 minus 4 leaves me at -7. So let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it actually ends up all the way down here. Okay, so this is the bottom of the U. So it's a U and it's down here. So the next one we're going to find, let me just write down -7 right here. So this is our vertex. Now I'm going to find the y-intercept, which is this number right here, where C is. So -4. So the y-intercept is -4, so it's right here. So to the right one, up 4. Now I'm going to repeat on the other side because this is a mirror here. 1 to the left, up 4, so it's going to end up here. It's going to look something like this, all the way up, going up really fast. All right, so that's the first one. Let's do the same thing here. So it's -b over 2a. Now this one's easy because b isn't there, which means it's 0. Okay, so this one is going to end up to be 0. So that's our axis of symmetry. This is going to be our axis of symmetry, 0. So now we got to find the vertex. I know that the vertex is going to be 0. I'm going to put 0 in here, and the answer is going to be 3. So 0, 3. So all I have is 1 point. If I find the y-intercept, I'm going to find this again. So that's not going to work. So what we're going to have to do is find what one of these other numbers are. Now, the easy number to find is 1. So I'm going to put 1 in here. 1 squared plus 3 is 4. So 1, 4 should be our end result here. And I don't know why I have it on -3. It's on +3 right there. And the other one is, if I put -1 in this form, it's going to be -1 times -1, which is 1 plus 3 is going to be 4. So it's going to be right there. So this one makes a U shape right here. Okay, perfect. So that one's graphed. You see how I couldn't use the y-intercept, so I had to adapt, and so I put in 1 and -1 into the equation, which is usually very, very simple to use. Okay, for this one, here's the original graph, right? F of x equals x squared. We're going to manipulate this using, I'm going to manipulate them here, okay? And every type of manipulation does something different. And at the end, we're going to do something that has multiple movements and see if you can figure out what's happening. This is a 3, by the way. So this is what x squared looks like. Okay? If you add 3 like this is going to make it go up 3 units. Okay? So if there's just an adding and a number, it's going to make it go up. So this graph is going to go up 3. Okay, so it's going to be like this right here instead of down there. If there's a -4, it's going to make it go down 4. Now, if it's in parentheses, okay, that means it's going to be controlling left or right. Okay, and -2 is actually going to make you go to the right 2. And +1 is actually going to make you go to the left 1. So in the parentheses controls left or right. A minus makes you go to the right, and a plus makes you go to the left. That's weird because you want to go to the left when it's a minus and when you want to go to the right when it's a plus. Here, we're multiplying with the x. Now that's going to make it stretch or compress. When the number is less than 1, it's going to compress, meaning it's going to become wider. Okay? If it's a number larger than 1, it's going to stretch, making it skinnier. Okay? A negative sign makes it flip from that into that. Okay, so this will cause it to flip. Now for this one, there's multiple things occurring. So here, we'd have to write something for this number, for that number, and for that number. So here, because it's less than 1 and it's multiplying with x, it's going to compress. Okay, then it's going to go left 4, and it's going to go down 4. Done. Okay, here's a quick little cheat sheet to remind you what is what with little quick symbols. Plus 2 with no parentheses up, minus 2 down. Plus 2 in the parentheses means left, minus 2 means right. Above 1 multiplying with the x means stretch. Below 1 multiplying with the x means compress. And then a negative with the x means flip. All right? And that's it.